Welcome all to this evening's broadcast of Community and the Constitution. I hope you had a chance to listen to last night's archives. We had like 58 live listeners last night. We went and took a visit down on the farm. We had a special guest who was teaching us about how to get our soils prepped and seeds going and plants going and all kinds of good stuff. And we had a really great time. Tons of information. I know I took a whole bunch of notes. I'm sure others did the same. Hopefully we're going to have Ed back as a guest again throughout the summer as he has time available to join us here and keep us up to date of how our crop should be doing at this particular time, how we need to start preparing our next step for harvesting and how we want to go about harvesting those seeds and getting into canning. And then come around August, when we'll be ready to start prepping our winter crops for those of us in the South here. So we'll be covering some of those topics as well. They'll be random, but I will try to get some advertisement out in advance to you guys. So that may not always be the case. It may just be like last night, last minute prep time and everything worked out just right to the first day of spring. And we were able to put a show together real quick for you guys on that. Again, it is now the second day of spring. It's here. It's arrived. Hope everybody's been real busy doing their spring cleaning and getting ready for an exciting summer, I hope. Trying to get away from the law side of things this time of year, as we do every year, and focus a little bit more on community, what we're doing in our communities, how we're getting along with our neighbors, what in general are we doing to make our lives easier, to work together, to become a unit, a family unit. Once again, the things that have been lost and stolen from us, and it started in the family, of course, where the unity got divided. And that's what we need to repair. We need to repair those divisions before we can move on to our neighbors. But exciting times ahead, I'm sure, with barbecues and get-togethers. And if you haven't done one in the past, maybe you should consider throwing a block party. They're real easy to do. You don't have to worry about permits or anything. You just let your neighbors know, hey, this weekend, it's a long weekend or whatever the case may be. When you get together and do some barbecuing, you pull the tables down and roll the barbecues down to the end of the driveway. The kids get together and they play ball or do what they're doing. Everybody brings kind of bring your own type deal. Yeah, hot dogs, hamburgers. Somebody else will bring chips and potato salads or whatever the case may be. And everybody just gets to co-mingle, if you will, socialize, get to know a little bit about each other. I'm very fortunate because in my area and my little neighborhood, we do all know each other. We know our kids. We know when somebody new is in the neighborhood, especially if they have kids, because we have young kids. So, kids are the first ones to hook up and meet and bring the parents into the picture. Oh, this is so-and-so's, met them at school or wherever they may have met along the way. And, of course, from there, then you go meet the parents. So it's an ongoing thing. It's a lot of fun, but you got to take the effort. Don't be afraid to make that initiative for unity in your household, especially in the summertime or anytime when you're not have that big, hard, busy schedule. Because whether we're working or playing and running our kids from one event to another and sports and the calendar just seems to be nonstop. You need to take a break. When you have that downtime, either between sports, between gymnastics or dance or whatever your children may be into, you got to take that downtime and the quiet time. And sadly, usually when we do have the quiet time, quite often we may end up in front of that damn box, whether it's a television, a video games, a computer, some sort of electronic device. That's not communication. That's not solidifying your foundation of your family unit. And you have to have that solid foundation. Once you have that established, everything else falls into place. It just makes life so much easier. And for those who are kind of new to this and don't know how to go about, maybe getting started. I used to tell this story years ago when I first started doing radio, many, many years ago. And believe it or not, it sounds crazy. But if anybody who's known me by now knows that, hey, everything I do sounds a little crazy until you actually try it or you actually study it and read it. Well, this is, again, on that line of, sounds a little crazy. You get up on a day, you're going to be a day off, right? Get up a little bit early where everybody else is still sleeping in. Don't even get changed in outdoor clothes. Stay in your pajamas, whatever. Go and make the coffee, make a nice breakfast. Then when it's all done, they all get up, and you wake them up, and here we go, come on, let's, we're going to have breakfast time. After breakfast, you clean up. Now, of course, at that point, they're going to want to get changed into their daytime clothes. They're going to probably want to go out and play or whatever. So it actually works a lot nicer if it's a rainy day, because then they're kind of trapped to the inside to begin with. But sometime after your breakfast and everything's cleaned up and everybody else is kind of off doing their own thing, which might be the norm, whatever the norm may be for your household. When everybody's caught in their norm, okay, whatever it may be, that's when you want to go off again on your own. Don't say a word to anybody. And if you don't have to use this particular board game, it's one of our favorites in my household, and it's great for young kids because they get to learn, all kinds of great educational stuff just from playing the game as well. But you go and you set up a Monopoly game, and you set it out for the amount of people that are in your household. So if there's 3 of you, you set it up for 3 players, or you, so on and so forth. And you don't say a word to anybody. You all of a sudden just start having your own party. All right? You roll the dice. You move the guy around, right? Oh, I'll buy that. Boom, boom, boom. You pay the bank. You get thing. Now you just get up and get into the next chair, and you throw the dice for that player, and you move that player along, and you have a party of 1. Okay, I've never seen it fail yet. That by the time I get around, all 4 chairs or all 5 chairs or whatever the case may be, that I've not already had one after another filling up. Because the kids will be, well, what are you doing? Because you're in there making all this racket, having this good time. And they'll walk by us, what the hell are you doing? I'm playing a board game. You guys are all busy playing your computer stuff or, video games or whatever. I felt like playing a board game. And they're like, well, hell, I want to play. Well, come on, grab a chair. Boop, and there's one kid, boom, sure enough. The other one will come wandering around a few minutes later, wondering where everybody else is at because they just realized, okay, where is everybody? Because they're not around. And they finally pick their head up out from in front of that electronic device for a minute. And they'll wander off to the house, or maybe after they'll get up to get a drink or whatever. But at one point, they're going to pass by and hear the commotion that's going on, and they'll be like, what are you guys doing? Why come you didn't invite me to play? Well, you were playing your video game. You want to play? Grab a seat. It doesn't take long, folks. It sounds crazy because you're up there in the beginning by yourself. And don't say anything to them. Don't make it seem like, it's a reverse psychology thing. If you go out and ask them, hey, everybody, I'm playing a board game. Who wants to come play? They're going to be like, I don't want to do that. Who wants to play this or who wants to do that? I'd rather just play my video game. So don't even put yourself in that position. Just set it up and start playing. And one by one, because now it'll be their thought and idea to come and play and join you. And then you guys just spend the rest of the day as a family playing board games, even if it's not Monopoly, whatever, maybe another board game, whatever your family has and enjoys doing. And you can end up spending the rest of the day sitting around as a family, playing games, interacting together. And then if you have it in your budget, of course, instead of worrying about cooking dinner or preparing dinner and that you order a pizza. And it can become a regular habit. We often have at least twice a month, if not more, we have game day in my house. And that's what we do. And there's also times where over the weekend, which usually does turn into, and it kind of goes together with game day, is my little one came up with this opposite day. Opposite day is just what it sounds like. Everything you would normally do, you do the opposite. So in the morning, instead of getting up and getting dressed, you stay in your pajamas all day long. Instead of sitting down to have breakfast, you have dinner. Okay? It's just a fun little thing that she likes to come up with every once in a while. And we sit around and we play board games all that day. Or do puzzles. Or, we all interact together doing something. It's just another, game. It depends on the age of your children, obviously. But it's all these different things that you can come up with and create and invent together. But until you can really start growing together as a family unit and have that foundation, that's how you're going to open up the communications. If you have communication and your children are comfortable covering any topic or subject that may come up, and it's how you react to those different topics and subjects that makes all the difference. Okay? We don't tolerate liars in the household. You got a problem, I can tell it's on your face, and I'll ask you what the problem is. You can tell me. I don't care what it is, but as long as I hear it from you, if you did something wrong or whatever the case may be, it's going to be handled in a different manner than if I found out from somebody else. Because if that's the case, then look out. So I got teenagers. It also goes into when they get, as they even get older. It starts from young age all the way on through into their adult lifehood. You're teaching them valuable moral lessons. But if you don't have that communications open, you don't have that solid foundation, one of these days your kids are going to be old enough, and they're going to be out with their friends, and somebody's going to end up drinking. Or your own child may end up drinking. And my kids are taught from the start, don't drink and drive. Call for a ride. Stay where you're at. I ain't going to ask you any questions. If you're not comfortable calling me, or depending on where you're at, if you're closer to somebody else, call another family member. But do not get behind the wheel, and do not get into a car with somebody else who's been drinking. But if you don't have that communication line open, what are they going to do? They're going to be more influenced with the peer pressure than they are of their own lessons that they have been taught and learned. They learn by example. We don't drink, so we don't have that problem there. If I have a beer, you can't say we don't drink at all. I mean, I have about a 12-pack of beer a year, so equivalent of one beer a month. As far as myself goes, my wife, she will, when we have guests and company over that come visit us. We're down in Florida, and we have a lot of relatives up in New Jersey. Her mom and them enjoy a glass of wine. So when they come down to run vacation and spend time with us, my wife will sit around, and her and her mother, and they'll sit around and they'll have a glass of wine or two. But other than that, there's no alcohol in the house. There's no drinking. We just don't drink. So we don't have that influence of that particular habit that the kids are going to pick up from us. But they also have been spoken to about it. If you're going to go out, you're going to go out and drink. There's nothing I can do to stop you. I don't care what the legal age is. Hell, I grew up on, I come from an Italian background, Italian family there. We grew up 5 years old. You had a little glass of Yago Sangria with dinner at 5. This is why drinking was never a big deal to me, because I grew up with it. You wanted it, it was there. You didn't want it, you don't take it. It was never denied us, so we never had that excitement of, hey, it's my 18th birthday. Well, back then it was 18. Now it's 21. Hey, it's my 21st birthday. I got to go out clubbing and get drunk off my ass. And then I'm going to climb into a car with 4 or 5 other drunken friends, go up the road and kill somebody or possibly myself. But it all begins at home with a solid foundation. If you have your children with a solid foundation and you trust them as they trust you, that will follow in every aspect of their life. They will more quickly come to you with a problem than their friends, and that is the ultimate. Instead of go talking to your friends about it, who may give you, poor advice or one-sided advice, come and talk to me. Come and talk to your mother. You're not comfortable about a particular topic? Go talk to your aunts and your uncles and your cousins. But bring it home. We're here. We're going to love you unconditionally. We may not love everything you do and the choices you make throughout your life, but you're a part of us. You're part of our family. And we take care of our own. We may not like everything you do, but we're going to support you in every decision that you make, provided that choice and that decision is a well thought out and informed choice. With that, good evening, Jose. Good evening, Jesse. Thank you for joining us this evening. How y'all doing?
Good evening, Doc. I'm fine. How are you, sir?
Hey, Doc.
Hey.
I'm doing all right. I wanted to say spring in Florida, good deal. Up here in West Virginia, where I'm at, only about 40 miles from Kentucky, we got snow. We got a whole inch of snow. It started off okay. I mean, the day, last night, there was no clouds. Today, it's freezing out there.
We had snow today, too. That makes you feel better.
Oh, good. Yeah, now that makes me feel better.
I was a little cold today. How's that? Any help there? No.
No,
just probably about 70 today on average. We hit the 80s or mid 80s today.
Well, I was wanting to get onto that planting thing. I know the wife likes to have a garden outside and stuff like that, and I'm not going to do it by myself this year. This year, I think I'm going to invite her to help.
There you go.
I don't know. It's just one of those things. I know she likes doing it, so let's see. Let's see what she knows. This would probably be our 3rd or 4th attempt at her having something green outside growing. She's good at the roses thing. But I frankly like the little garden idea a heck of a lot better. But then that comes with my background and where I'm from and how I grew up. So, yeah, I kind of enjoyed the show last night. I enjoyed listening more than anything. I know I didn't really participate in the show, and that's okay. I threw up a couple of ideas for you guys, and I'm glad you guys went on with it. Hey, Jesse, did you get to listen to last night's show?
Yeah, we lost her. She had little issues with her son, and she's going to try to make it back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's just or probably from work and everything, and the son, of course, she's got a little one there, and he's starting to act up, and probably wanting some hungry for some mama time right now. So she said she's going to try to make it back.
Yeah, no, I don't blame her. I was just wondering if she had worked on that special project that she was on, and she had any part of that ready, maybe we could delve into that for a few minutes or something. I really honestly, Doc, I was looking and looking and looking, and I told you, I got these two things stuck in my head, and I can't figure out how to put them together, but then now a third one popped up. Yeah, the Euphrates River, it's not something that's big in the news or, prominent or anything like that, but the Euphrates has been dammed up in Turkey and various places in Turkey, and by the time they allow enough water to flow down the Euphrates in Syria, there's areas of it that look, it's a mere ghost of what it used to be. It used to be this huge, huge river, and now I look at it and I think to myself, wow, it's just in comparison, you'd be comparing, I'd say a pond, a good-sized pond, something, almost a lake, to a bucket of water in comparison to how much the Euphrates has been dried up. Yeah, that's pretty much been my entire day today, is trying to find something more along that line and see. But there's a war going on in Syria, that civil war or something like that was set up by the elitists, and regular scientists can't get in there to do regular testing and examinations and stuff like that. And in one report that I read today, they said you can actually walk across the Euphrates. You can walk because the water is only knee deep in many, many places. This was a river that used to have ships. They had ships at one time,
But it's all part of a cycle of some sort. We can go all the way back in history, and at one time, you had the Great Nile rivers. You had there was scientific evidence showing that even where the Great Pyramids and the Sphinx is out there in Egypt, there was there was all kinds of waterways and rivers.
Hello?
There we go. How you doing, caller?
Am I on the air?
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, there we are. That was quick. Alrighty. So, I understand we're doing a podcast here on Freedom Reigns.
Yeah.
What's the subject?
Well, we usually cover law, but this time of year we go into the first part.
You cover what now?
Community, you're reuniting families.
Uniting families?
Yeah, reuniting your own family. Replace generations, division in our families between television shows showing single parents and divorces that are that one time was really bad, really super high. We don't work together. We no longer communicate. We don't have great electronic advocacy. We don't have one-on-one.
I'm sorry, I got a bad reception right now. I'll call you guys back.
Okay.
Hey, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, you had water or something running too in the background there. That was interesting. It's always good to have somebody pop in. But yeah, there's Florida here, Jose, where I'm at. If we weren't a peninsula, we weren't surrounded by water on three sides of our little state here. Little state, yeah. Florida is probably one of the largest, definitely the longest countries is in the Union. But if we didn't have all this water and ocean surrounding us and all the constant hurricanes and thunderstorms and rains, I read something a long time ago that where we're located on the map by latitude and longitudes, we would actually be a desert because all the other places that are on this same latitude or plateau or however the scientists look at this stuff, it's not my cup of tea, are deserts. And Florida literally would be a desert if it wasn't for being completely surrounded by the ocean waves and, having all the storms and hurricanes we have. The other advantage too, a disadvantage and advantage to it that's keeping us from becoming a desert, we're actually sinking into the ocean. We have been since the beginning of time, ever since the great continent separated and we were, Florida was left as the tail end piece here from the divisions. The Florida shelf, as it's known as, which was originally dry land, extends out some 200 feet, I think, and in some places it's estimated by miles. It's some miles by miles, some 20 some odd plus miles at some points, even further out. That at one point, which was part of Florida, was dry land, so that's underwater. Now, of course, it's not like something you can measure yearly or by somebody's lifespan. The scientists take care of all that kind of stuff for us. But it's just interesting that I did see that with the scientists some years ago. And we got another caller on the line here, maybe the same one on a different phone line. Let's see if we can get him back here. 519, you're on the air.
Hi there. I believe I called recently with the laggy connection.
How you doing? Glad to have you back.
Glad to be back. Were you guys able to hear me fine? Because that's my new phone, and guys are one of the few people that first called, and just making sure my phone's all right. Were you guys able to hear me okay?
I'm good on my side.
It was like
on the other phone?
Something.
Okay, good. Now, what was the topic? I couldn't hear you guys.
Well, we're doing sort of a current events type thing, general. Right this moment, we might step into, I don't know, something more specific later on.
Current events?
Yeah, I was mentioning the Euphrates River is seeming to dry up, but, they can't get any real scientists in there or anybody to get a picture of it at this point in time because of all that war going on in Syria.
Yeah, areas like that, we can't really touch because, no scientist really wants to risk their life for the work. Some do, but no one wants to go extreme measures. And you got all these rebels in that area, and, it's just untouchable. You can't nuke them out. You can't clear them out. They'll only make the situation a lot more worse.
Yeah.
But, the topic I'm interested in is when the god dang are we going to get out of this gas and oil means of transportation industry and move more into the electric and hydrogen-based vehicles? I mean, they're so much more efficient, and they already made vehicles that are so inexpensive, electric vehicles, and that nobody takes interest in them. I mean, they can save so much money.
Right.
And little to no pollutants. And even at our local malls and that, they have free electric cars charging stations. So you're basically getting free fuel to go to the mall.
Actually,
where are you guys at? Where are you located?
I'm in Canada.
Oh,
well.
Okay. We don't have that here by us yet. I'm like, I haven't seen that by us yet. We have the cars, but I haven't seen the charging stations out at the malls or anything.
Well, you do know that Tesla had a car that on his own setup, what he did is he went and he removed the internal combustion engine out of it. He put in a electric motor, put his own electricity generating thing in there, and he ran up and down the road just fine. And he never had to charge it. This is the point. He never had to charge it, And back then you couldn't. But with his inventions, he had all the juice he needed to run that car wherever he went, wherever he wanted.
That was back then as well.
Yeah,
that was like
technology that has been around forever. My stepdad, I've spoken about this on the radio many years ago, and on and off when a topic comes up, especially we're talking about vehicles. I'm sure many of you have heard about the batteries that NASA uses up there at the space station, on different satellite units and the Range Rovers and the rockets and the shuttle and so on and so forth. Well, that particular design and all, my stepdad was actually part of the inventor of that. He was part of the creator. He actually used to work for NASA before he retired many, many years ago. And he did it for an automobile. It's a little tiny black box. It's a battery. It never needs to be charged. It will run a car for 100,000 miles on a single charge. One charge, 100,000 miles, and the car used to maintain 80-some miles an hour without a problem.
Now, how expensive would those things be to install in a regular vehicle, though, like in a regular electric vehicle?
It takes minutes to install it. It's just like installing a regular battery, really. The problem is the reason they wouldn't do it for the general public and the reason why it only takes a single charge, it's actually a small nuclear cell. So, of course, the safety commissions and all got involved. Well, what happens if it's a car accident, blah, 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 blah. They came up with all these excuses why not to use it. But the real reason, of course, is the oil companies don't want it out on the market. They don't want it available to the general public.
Of course
not. The same thing with the fumes injector. There's a fumes injector. You can actually get the blueprints off the web for it, and you take your AC unit, take that compressor, and you rewire it. And what it does, it takes the gasoline that's in your tank, and it pressurizes and the fume, because the burnable part of gasoline is not the liquid, it's the fumes that comes off it. And you burn just the fumes, and it's a fumes motor. And they installed this, and they've done this on several different vehicles, and they had it on one of those big, huge, like suburban SUV kind of things. It was the equivalent weight to a military Humvee. So it was like 5,000 pounds or, something like that, some really high number. And they put 2 gallons of gasoline in it, into this fumes motor, and they took it for a ride. And it averaged over 100 miles per gallon. And it's a simple conversion. It doesn't take long to do. Of course, you got to know how to read the blueprints and blah, blah, blah. But, I'm only giving you the gist of it. I've not personally have tried to do it. I will one of these days. Just to check it out. I know it does work. It's just, again, it's something that they're not going to release to the regular public. You got to hunt this information down, and be very mechanically inclined to, put the couple of pieces that they may be leaving out on purpose, just so that the government doesn't get involved. But then there's also the one back in the 70s. Again, my dad was involved in a gas-powered, another gas-powered motor. And that one, he had designed back then. It was a large 8-cylinder, big V8, no problem. Full speed-wise, you get all the speed you want out of it, like you would any 8-cylinder motor, and with just a couple of tweaks here and there, and whatever else he may have done, I don't know. And that was doing 70 to 80 miles per gallon. So the technology has always been there. The problem is, the people do not run the governments. The corporations run the governments. The governments are corporations. And they, hey, I can't sell a whole bunch of oil, and Exxon can't make $1 gazillion this year if, to contribute to my campaign if I go ahead and release this kind of information and technology. So the big oil companies buy up these patents and lock them up in a system so they can't be mass produced. But they've had the technology all along. We've had the hovercrafts. You can go out and buy one for about $4,000. They ain't the most fuel-efficient vehicle, but the aspect of it, if you know anything about hovercraft and its capabilities, you can go over land, water, whatever, anything you really want to travel over. We use it for and fun. That's just the first step into your, flying vehicles of the future, if you will, type of design. There's also, there's just so many things that can be done. Same thing with starvation. I teach aquaponics. Math and garden growing. You can be in a one-bedroom apartment, and I can still feed you for a year on a small little area on a bookshelf. There's no reason anyone on the planet should suffer from starvation. None whatsoever.
I just have another quick topic here that I want to discuss. Now, in terms of freedom in that, I know this is a whole different into the electronics industry, but in terms of the EA, Electronics Arts Industry, implementing their DRM, their always online feature for the multiplayer games and single-player games now, you cannot even play a single-player game anymore without having to be online. You need internet connection. I know they did that for the Sim City, and everyone rioted over that. EA is, they've been a company for a long time, EA Industries. They made a lot of good games. Like, I'm even playing an EA game right now. But
quite a few months, actually.
Yeah. The EA, though, has gone to hell and back. I mean, first they put in their, you got to pay for your multiplayer pass if you buy a game used. That's a bit understandable. Like, they're trying to get their money they deserve from their games. But this whole DMR crap, they say it's stopping piracy. They can't say in which ways it actually. Everyone is disagreeing with them. Like, how is it stopping piracy? A pirate actually managed to make the game offline. You can't stop the piracy. They're just using it as an excuse to gain as much money as they can. And it's a slap in the face to the fans. Like, I've been playing EA games, the original Medal of Honors and that since I was just a little guy, but losing faith in the EA games, willing to go back to the horrible Call of Duties and that after what they've been doing. I mean, it's just wrong. They're taking more and more money out of people's pockets, the money that people work so damn hard now in this broken economy, and it's just saddening. People are doing to get extra buck.
Yeah, I think where they picked up that idea, they saw how successful World of Warcraft was.
Mm-hmm.
And is,
Oh, yeah.
Well,
they saw the success of that with the constant monthly membership or, and if you come back from my generation, you go back to my generation, actually, my generation started to get away from it. That was like kind of the last generation. I was born in the 60s. That was kind of like the last generation. But we were really big on, your boardwalks, your arcade games, your, pinball machines. We didn't really have these video game console games. We had a couple of shooter games, but most of it was pinball and that really ruled the boardwalks, if you will. And it would cost you 25 cents. Actually, the old pinball machines, they were a nickel, for 5 balls. And my generation of pinball machines, they were a quarter for a play, and then they went up to 50 cents, and then they went from 5 balls down to the same quarter. You only got 3 balls, and instead of earning an extra game, you only earn an extra ball. So it was all these different progressions. And when you sat there and I looked at the amount of money I put inside the pinball machine, hanging out, because I worked out on the boardwalk, I lived over by the boardwalk, I played on the boardwalk, So, I think back all the money I would spend on a weekly basis hanging out just playing pinball, the $15 a month for unlimited playtime for WoW is actually not a bad bargain. I've been, not that I'm supporting WoW, don't get me wrong, I haven't played in a while, I'm kind of weaned off it. I've been playing since vanilla, as they call it, since the day it came out. So 8-9 years of my life and income, at $15 a pop a month, have been invested in that damn company. But it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of interaction. I ran guilds. I did all that. It was a great way to stay in touch with my, especially a lot of my friends in the military, because that was actually one thing they had access to, even out there on the ships and stuff, which is pretty cool. So even when they were stationed elsewhere, if they were able to get some sort of connection up and running with their laptops, and even though it was limited at times, they can check in with me on WoW and Vent, and we can communicate that way. So there was a lot of different benefits to it. But I just got bored with the game. I just finally got to the point where I need a break, and haven't really played it much in the last not much at all in the last 6 months, but been eating off it for a good year. But in the long run, my point is, the $15 for me, when I think back with everything I spent on my pinball machines and my video games and the arcades and whatnot, it's not a bad price. But now to come across to the newer generation where they can buy a game like you're saying that doesn't need to be played online or be played at a monthly fee, you spend your $45, $50, whatever the case may be, for the one-time purchase, and as long as you take care of it, you have it for life.
Well, I believe that, I can understand EA's point, and the only way I'll ever agree with their always online feature is if that's only for people that buy the used games. Like, if you buy their game new, you should get the codes to play offline and multiplayer. I know you get the code for multiplayer. I don't know. It's still a new system. But like you said before, games back then has changed a lot. Like, even my dad was playing the old Diddy Kong and all those games, Donkey Kong, and, I'm in the newer generation of video games where you can play games free to play in that. But I've busted at least $2,000 alone in total video games, online, computer, everywhere, PS3, Xbox. And, it's a good pastime, but these games some of them are actually life-ruining.
Yeah, it's like the World of Warcraft addiction.
Yeah. Well, I used
from World of Warcraft.
Hey, actually, guys, I gotta get going now because I only have local calling right now, so international is gonna cost me quite a bit. I've been trying to call you guys on my phone because I have that international cheap calling app, but it seems to be lagging on me right now.
Well, if you got a computer. If you got a computer, Skype in.
How do you Skype in?
If you go to Blog Talk Radio for our show, right from the internet there, as you're listening to the show, you'll see there's a little blue S. As long as you have Skype installed, you can install that for free. Install your Skype, and there's a little blue S on the top right, I believe, of the player, of our radio show. You click on that, and it just dials directly into the board. Just got to have a headset and mic, that's all. And you got to be registered to the site? Or can you... No, Skype is free. You create a free account or whatever. Blog Talk Radio, it's free. Again, you can log in through that, actually, through Facebook or Google or one of your other accounts if you already have one, or you can, create a new account, but it's free on Blog Talk Radio. And we even have a chat open. We have a chat window that we open during every show as well, which we have a couple of guests in right now that are kicking back, listening to the show, and you're able to chat in the chat room with us as well, asking questions and comments right there in chat. And, we mention them on air and answer the questions as they come up. So I also have the Freedom Reigns chat room up as well. If you go to freedomreigns.us, that's our homepage for our radio station here. You can go there, and on the left-hand side, you'll see the tab that says Chat. Click on that, and we have our own chat window. That's open 24/7. That chat window is open 24/7, but it's all free. Impressive. I didn't know about the Skype feature. I have a Skype account. I just registered for that. Yeah, that's really good to know, though. Yeah, you just go to the Blog Talk Radio site where you're listening to the show from. Picked up the show originally. You go right to that site there, and you'll see the little blue S. You click on that, and that'll dial you directly into the studio board here, and I can see you there. And you type in what your name would be, your nickname or whatever it would be, would show up, and I can get you on air. All right. Thank you very much, guys, for listening in and discussing with me. That's
I fully support this blog talk. Very informative and lots to talk about. Very interesting. I'm going to keep on listening here.
No, we greatly appreciate your call.
All right, thank you very much for your time, guys, gentlemen.
You're welcome. Thank you for joining us.
And take care.
Bye.
Bye now. Oh, cool. We had a live one tonight.
Yes, we did, and that's great. And that's what we need, folks. I don't care, as long as you're have something to say and you're polite about it, we can hit any topic. That's the beauty about our show, being about the community, whatever's on your mind. If you got a question or a comment, you have some thoughts or an idea about something, you're into something else besides like your mainline career, whatever it may be. There's many people out there too that teach different kind of health issues or different kinds of gardening and growing, and you're only limited to your imagination and what you want to share. And that's what our show was always about. We teach the law side, but that gets boring after a while. You get all the information. The basic classes, if you take the basic classes we had on Wednesday night, which we start those up, and we do them for about a month or two, and then we leave them alone for a year and go back to them. Because if you got the hunger for it, you're going to have enough there to take you through study time and discovery on your own, because it's a fantastic and exciting journey when you go down that path, to last you a year or more. So I don't need to do it every single day, twice a week, and just cover law. But at any time during any show you have a question or a comment, it doesn't matter what we're talking about. Bring it up, or put it in the chat room so we can address it for you. Shout out there to Please. Good to see you again, as always. Missed you last night. We had a really great show. Hope you had a chance to listen to it in the archives. We had our first day of spring show on gardening, and Ed came and joined us from the farm and gave us some fantastic information. So I hope you had a chance to check that out. But it's always good to see you here and joining us in the chat rooms over there on Freedom Reigns. Josh has joined us over on Blog Talk Radio, as well as a couple of guests. And it's always good to give a shout out to you guys and spending your time with us here this evening. The drought issue, Jose, is how are we doing just here in our own union for the last year or more? We've been the farmers have really been struggling, and I was watching a news report just the other day, matter of fact, on that particular subject, because I guess in some of the states around the union, or county, and maybe it varies by county, I don't know, for these farmers, they're limited. They get like a budget of X amount of gallons per year or whatever for their crops or something. I guess it's regulated of how much water, and they're still waiting to hear how much water they're going to have available, I guess, to them this year for the crops. Because it is great drought that we've been in. Are we starting to see any recovery from that at all with all the snow we have? That's a good thing. I think Jesse was the one who brought that up during the show yesterday. Being up in the mountains, all that snow, while as the weather warms up, that's fresh, clean water that comes, rolling down the mountain pretty much throughout the year as it's melting and feeding the aquifers and watering the plants and the farms and whatnot. Are we seeing any improvement in that aspect that you're aware of?
Well, it's sort of a double-edged sword. There's a yes and there's a no. The first part, the yes part, is now that we're supposedly past the winter months, it seems that we're starting to get a little bit more moisture, which is, that's a good thing. And so there's the hopeful yes. The problem being that there hasn't been enough moisture, which later on throughout the year, and most big farmers know this, some farmers, small farmers know this, if you don't get enough rain, if you don't have like a river or a lake that you can pump water from over your land, you have to go deep well. You got to tap the aquifer for the water that you need. because you know what? You buy the seed. You might buy the seed late in the autumn, and you got to pay for it. But then come springtime, if you can't plant it, well, and that's where that sits. On the other, and if there's not enough water, and you don't have a way to tap the aquifer, what your land is going to do is it is going to, well,
Dry
if you're
up.
in, yeah, it's going to either dry up and get really, really hard, and then you're going to be plowing through some really tough soil if you get to come back from that. Because bouncing back from a big lull like that is not easy, and it is nowhere near being entertaining at all. I mean, it's hard. It's one of the worst experiences. I've had to bust through caliche back home, and that's pretty much the way it was when I was over there in Texas with family. They had a small field that needed to be busted up, and okay, I'm on a tractor over there. Back home, it was pick and axe, but it's pretty much the same thing. When clay goes hard on the top, it's like a rock, and caliche is rock. I don't know. The last 3 or 4 years have got me really worried about agriculture here in the Union. I mean, to start off with, there was that big thing, with let's see, 2010. I think the summer of 2010 was like a little bit extra hot, and the winter was normal. And then comes to 2011, and I think that's the year where we had all that, practically the entire West Coast, all the trees and forests burnt down or something like that. Lots of forest fires. At one point, there was like 6 forest fires going on the West Coast. While
Yeah, I remember that.
Dead center in the very middle of the Union, massive flooding. Well, of course there's going to be massive flooding. You got all this fire. You got the smoke goes up into the air, collects water vapors, and it's got to come down somewhere. So it was coming down right in the middle of the agricultural, or what we call our food basket, right? And so, the East Coast, it was getting a little bit of moisture, but not really normal type stuff, So it's drier here. It's super wet over there. That one guy, I'll never forget the picture of this guy's house and this big, huge berm all the way around, and then all the way around that berm, it's just lake.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember. There's a picture of that. It's just so memorable, though. When you have something like that, yeah, it creates some really good topsoil. But the problem is that water soaks so far down into the dirt, into the earth, that when all that water finally runs off, almost a whole year later, you still have X amount of feet. And this isn't measured by inches. I'm talking
Right.
4, 5, 6 feet of dirt that is just soaked. It's pure water. It's in driving a tractor over something like that. You might as well just go drop the tractor into quicksand. Yeah, you go drop it in.
And you can't plant in that. We were talking about that last Sunday because I was asking about my concerns here, because this is a lot of it's new to me, and we were talking to Ed yesterday, and that's what my concern was, not having enough water and more so over-watering, because if your water table is a little low, the roots have the chance, will go down to the water table. They'll grow deeper to get to that water. But if that water table is too high, you get that root rot, and then nothing will grow. It's just too wet to get anything to grow. And so it is like that double-edged sword you were talking about. You either have no water, or you just got way too damn much with the constant changing of the climate. And because our agricultural area can't relocate as easily as it could back in the day. It's like, all right, well, hell, the central union is flooded. We know we can't use that land for growing for a couple of years now. We just pick up that whole farm and rely on another farm, because somebody else has got another, 8,000 acres. They can grow there. That now all of a sudden that land is available to grow. It has the proper conditions to grow. Well, with communities and industry coming into the South and everybody building up, and every time you build a house, you develop a business or a community or anything like that. You're losing all that land as far as for the large commercial base growability. But the one thing you'll always have, and the one thing that you can always rely on, and you must, and this is a bad habit we've all gotten into, we've talked about this for years, you must rely upon yourself. Community and the Constitution is working together, working as a unit, getting with your friends and neighbors. But if you're looking at freedom, you have to look at that reflection in the mirror and point the finger there, because that's the only person to blame. For any of your situations, you only have you to blame, be it lack of education, lack of ambition, lack of knowledge. And if you lack those things, you change. So you're no longer lacking in those categories, and you turn it around. Now, food prices, because of the large drought we've been suffering here in the last couple of years, is getting through the roof. That's why it's so important, and why I stress so hard this year. I'm going to be pushing. If you guys haven't started, you're already behind the 8 ball, but that's okay. You can catch up. If you got any grass, land, area at all, and you got no food growing, I'm sorry, turn that lawn over and get it planted. Food is more important than having a well-manicured lawn.
Completely.
All right? You cannot be free and independent if you cannot feed yourself. Now, this, and I used the example last night. You can be a multi-millionaire. Kick back, hey, I ain't got to worry about it. I got $1 million. Well, all of us has experienced the time after a storm, after a hurricane, after an event of some sort, where we've gone into the store and the shelves have been emptied. I don't care how many millions upon millions of dollars you have. If you go to the store and the shelves are empty, you're not going to eat unless you've prepared. Unless you've grown your own garden and canned or put something away for that rainy day. And it's going to more than pay for itself. And I'm going to do a show at the end of the season here. I have a running record of every single dime I've spent. Not counting my time and labor, obviously, but just every penny out of pocket. And I'm going to weigh the yield that I get from my garden against what I would have bought in the store, comparison price-wise. And because I know I'm going to have so much left over, I'm going to get into the canning. I'm buying the pressure canner. That's $300 for the top unit. And, of course, the jars. So I'll have 100 or 200 invested in that. These are things you don't have to get into. That's what I'm getting into. So this is why I have that large stock of supply. And even my winter crops, I'm already preparing land. Okay, I have land available at my mom's place. I'm already getting ready to plan that land out. I'm getting ready to till that over and have that topsoil delivery come in. But every dime I spend, I'm keeping a running log of. And not only will I have my yield that I get from my crops, not only will I have all these canning supply goods sitting on the shelf in my house for when I need it, my extra crops, especially the winter crops, that don't can very well, like your eggplants and head of lettuces and your leafy vegetables. A lot of that stuff really doesn't can very well. So those kind of things, what I can't utilize myself and consume, between barbecues and my salads and whatnot, what I'm not able to keep there, I'll take that one crop at the end of the year, almost like a commercial farmer. I'll cut that whole crop down. I'll go over to my little local market here, which already have farmer market guys around by me. That's all they do is sell produce from all the different farmers in the area. And hey, look, make me an offer. I just cut down my crop, give me $1 a head. And they can more than double their price on it. I make a quick sale of it, and that income that I didn't have before, that product now is not going to waste because I couldn't can it and I couldn't consume it, and other people are getting the benefits of my labor to growing, and that money goes right back into my budget. And right now the bet is, I just started yesterday, being the first day of spring. The bet is by 1 year from yesterday, so 1 year, I will show a significant profit. And I'm going to bring that to the airways and share that with you guys. Don't be afraid to get started. Every penny that you put into the ground for growing is going to be returned to you back in your pocket tenfold. Minimum. Okay? Especially with the food prices today going through the roof. With the droughts that we're all facing, the big farmers are facing. The product, if they can grow it, it's minimal. And when something is less in quantity, the prices go through the roof. It's just not available like it used to be. And what is available is going to cost you. So why spend all that money and worrying about and hoping that, hey, we're going to have a good corn crop so I can barbecue with corn on the cob, or worrying about having a good lettuce crop this year, or whatever the case may be. But the trick is, that last night we focused on tomatoes because it's such a versatile fruit. You can do amazing things with it. Even if you don't like tomatoes, there's so many other products that you can utilize it for. Just in cooking and as a natural tenderizer, steamed tomatoes, over pork, tenderizes the pork, even if you don't like to eat the tomatoes themselves afterwards, It's just it's so many things you can do with it. Tomato sauce, ketchup, you're only limited to your imagination. Eat it like an apple right off the vine. So even if you don't like it, there's other things you can utilize it for, and it's an easy thing to grow and get started with. And it takes up little space. You can do that in very little space. And one plant, if it's maintained and the soil's correct and you do it correctly, and learn how to properly handle it, you're going to get enough yield off of that one plant that it's going to last you all year. And just think, for every tomato you pulled off that plant, that's one less you had to go buy at the grocery store. Only grow, and this is a big key, unless you're growing for profit or to sell, okay? Only grow what you're going to eat. I don't mean the amount, because you can use that for canning or for selling, but don't waste your time and energy growing carrots if you don't like carrots. Now, if you're going to can them and use them in soups or use them for sale, okay. If you have the room to do that. But I'm talking about the little guy who may even be living in an apartment. You're out there on a balcony. You got a little balcony garden going. You can grow enough food on that little balcony, okay, that 3 foot by 3 foot square area. You can grow enough food and product all year long, summer crops, winter crops, to keep you healthy, to keep your belly full, even when you don't have any money to go to the store to buy other items. And not only that, that's all that extra money is now returned right back to your monthly budget. It's a win-win-win scenario all the way around. There's nothing to lose here, folks. You're starting out small. You're talking about a little pail. Find a bucket, or go buy a bucket for $1. Okay? Pick up some topsoil. You can buy that or get it for free, just, riding around, look for somebody who's got some good, clean topsoil laying around. Hey, can I get a bucket full? Yeah, here, help yourself, You're only getting a bucket. Even if you went to a commercial place that sells soil like I do and whatnot, you're going in there and only getting a bucket load. The guy's going to look at you and say, help yourself, Hey, give me a break. What, they going to charge you $1? For a 5-gallon pail of soil? Come on. Not going to happen, yeah.
They can always find a ditch.
Right, yeah.
A ditch that's got brown dirt in it or that has signs of having had water flow. If you can find a little ditch that's had signs of water flow, you take a shovel and don't go any deeper than maybe 8-9 inches, but you make the very center bottom of that ditch about 8 or 9 inches deeper by cutting out that section and fill your bucket. You'll get dark brown or black dirt. Black is best. Dark brown's pretty good. Not to mention it'll have the proper sand quantity in it already, and you don't have to mess with that.
Yep, that's perfect. Just drop your seeds in, or go buy a already growing plant if you're worried about doing it from seed, or if you're already behind the 8 ball, like I call it, like they say in the business. Behind the 8 ball means you're just you're behind schedule to do it from seed, so it's okay. You go buy the plant, and everybody's got them. I mean, Lowe's, Home Depot, I'm sure Walmart. Yeah, everybody's got these garden centers around. Your local nurseries and mom and pop stores. You go in there, you buy yourself a single tomato plant, buy yourself a single pepper plant, or strawberry plant, whatever you want. Strawberries winter more so, but buy yourself whatever you're going to eat. All right, and for $3-4 investment, $10 at the most. If you bought everything, like the best of the plant that was there, you probably get that for maximum between $3 and change to $6, $1 for a 5-gallon pail at the store, and even if you bought and spent for a bag of topsoil, what are that, $3? You usually get them on sale or something about $3. So for a maximum around $10, really, if you went out and bought everything, and instead of just going out to the ditch and digging up your dirt or going to a soil place that's going to let you get a bucket for free, or, if you have to buy the bucket, you know what I mean?
Potato.
Yeah, minimal investment. You buy a bucket. There's your tomato plant. Buy a second bucket. Same thing. There's your whatever you grow. Cucumbers or peppers or, combination of a 5-gallon pail, folks. You realize that out on your balcony in your little 1-bedroom apartment. And the beauty about being in a bucket, when you know there's a storm coming, when you know there's bad weather, you go out to your balcony, you grab your bucket, and you bring it inside. Wow, what a concept. Okay? The weather clears up, the sun's back out, grab your little 5-gallon bucket, and you pop it back out on your balcony. And you can, with plenty of room for you to still sit on a chair and hang out on your balcony, you can put side by side, starting in the one corner, 2 to 3 5-gallon, depending on the width of your balcony there, 2 to 3 5-gallon pails right there. Takes up no room at all. You're going to lose all of, 8 inches, maybe a foot at the most, off your balcony. And you can get 2 to 3 buckets right there. And if you want to put another row of buckets, that gives you 4 to 6 buckets. That's 4 to 6 different vegetable products that you can grow.
And if somebody...
And you'll have plenty of food to live off all year long.
And if the apartment manager says, hey, what do you got growing there? You tell them, oh, these are all flowers. They can't stop you from having flowers, right? You say they're flowers, well, then that's what they are.
You can't stop you from growing vegetables either. It's none of his business, so long as it's nothing illegal, okay?
Well, yeah, no, it's just...
You're okay.
you know, the insanity of the laws and coding laws and all that kind of junk
Yeah.
that comes from city ordinances and mayors and city council members that are a bunch of jerks.
There's always a
No,
reason for that, folks, because almost all those laws are directed at the commercial, the guy who's selling the product. You're
yeah.
not selling the product, you're consuming the product. There's no law you're breaking. Okay? That actually goes the same even for marijuana, believe it or not. As long as you're not growing mass quantities, if you're growing, consuming and not for sale, that's what the laws on most of the states are. You can do that as well, but we don't go there. I'm not getting it.
No.
I haven't studied it. Don't know it. It's not my thing. But the point is, most of the laws are all commercial and based. Keep that in mind. If you're not selling anything, those laws do not apply to you, especially when it comes to food.
Doc, I just wanted, I mean, you started in on the 5 gallon bucket thing. I wanted to just say, most everyone I know eats potato. And sometimes you might have left, I don't know, a potato in the pantry for too long and it kind of starts getting these little buds on it all over the place. That is the perfect time to go outside, cut the bottom off of an old coffee can, one of these plastic coffee cans, if you will. Make it, set it down on the ground, make a hole about the same size, and put the potato in there, cover the potato with the dirt that you dug out of the hole, and then put the can over that, and as long as it doesn't get blown away with the wind, you water it. Next thing you know, hey, all winter long, you can go out there as long as it doesn't freeze too far down into the ground. All winter long, you can go out there and dig up your own potatoes and have potatoes.
There you go. And the beauty about being in the pot growing, you can bring that pot in on those cold nights and days in the winter. The bad snowstorms are coming in, and you can grow all year round, folks. That's the point. It's not like, oh my God, it's only spring. It's spring. I can only grow, a couple of months out of the year, and then what do I do the rest of the year? Well, even if you're not canning in that, if you time your crops and rotate your crops correctly, just even using the 5 gallon pail theory, not theory, but fact, use the 5 gallon method, you can have something growing all year round. There's warm weather crops, there's cold weather crops, there's crops that'll grow in your house. Okay, it doesn't need that. They don't necessarily need that all day direct sunlight to produce. Get your stuff going, which is the other thing I'll be picking up here shortly. Your herb garden going. Okay, now you got all your own fresh herbs, for cooking and whatnot. They're right there. You don't have to go out and buy that stuff. Everything is going up in price. Just to go to the store and buy spices. I have a fairly decent sized spice rack because I like to cook. My son likes to cook, so we have a fairly decent sized selection of spices. And when one of those, and I always buy the large commercial sized containers of those spices, if you will, because spices really don't go bad. But again, they're not fresh picked spices. I don't have my own herb garden yet. But when that empties out and you got to go to replace it, that thing's anywhere, depending on what you're buying, $10 to $20 to $30 just to replace one of those. Even if you bought the little tiny normal sized household jars of spices at your grocery store, they range from $3 to $8 for that little tiny jar. And it's not fresh, it's already prepackaged stuff.
Who knows how old?
Herbal air garden kind of deal, sitting right on your kitchen counter, or grow it in a pot and hang it from like a hanging pot, so it's not even taking up counter space. You can hang it in a basket. Get a hanging basket and do an air garden. An herbal air garden, I think is the proper term for them. And you can do it in a hanging basket, and you got fresh herbs growing in your house all year round. Makes your house, your apartment, whatever, smell fantastic. And you got all that cooking spices right there at your fingertips.
Well,
And
I don't know about anybody else when it comes to fresh. I do mean fresh picked spices, you know. But out there in New Mexico, wherever you see sage, you will find oregano and a few other, you know, varied spices if you know what you're looking for. And it's not hard to find. It's real easy to find it. It's all very easy to pick because obviously, you know, it's a plant. You pull the leaves off of it. Now, with sage, it's a little bit tricky. Sage, you know, it's a very strong smelling spice, and it's, you know, you don't really dry it out. You basically kind of crumple it off of the plant. And with oregano, you pull the leaves off the plant. But the point is, you know, the difference between fresh and store-bought is so amazing. It really is. I don't know if you've ever had, or if anybody's ever compared a store-bought steak right next to a fresh steak from this morning. But I have. And I gotta tell you, the steak from this morning beat out that store-bought steak by miles in flavor and in nutrition. When I don't know why it is that steak and all that kind of stuff, for some odd reason, people think it's better aged by at least 21 days. That doesn't make any sense to me because I would think it loses a lot of its nutrition. The more you age it, the more nutrition it's going to lose.
Yeah, actually, that's the way I always thought, because like we used to do the fresh kills out there on the farm.
Yeah.
Once a year, and man, that stuff was great. But I've also heard from professional growers and commercial farmers, believe it or not, the longer you can age it, and of course it has to be done in the right conditions, though. This is the problem. We eat with our eyes first, and that's part of the problem, because we don't see where our product comes from. We only see the end result, what's sitting on the shelf in the store. The reason, even after it's aged 21 days, it looks so fresh and red in the package is because of carbon monoxide that they pump into the package, okay, and the preservatives that they use. If you sold it before, okay, before it got packaged and sent to the store, you wouldn't want to go near it, all right? So I'm not trying to gross anybody out here. If you, a proper way to actually make the perfect, like, corned beef or something like that, you need to hang that in a proper place, you know, cool, dry place, you know, per se, or whatever you want to call it, all right, and let it age for a year, okay? Yes, it's going to get disgusting. It's going to smell and stink probably. It's going to be green and nasty and covered in what looks like mold and all that stuff. It's going to be the most disgusting thing you ever saw in your life. Well, it's the same thing with any piece of meat. After 21 days, when it's up in what they call aging, believe it or not, if you saw it before it was all trimmed down to that pretty tender steak that you got, you wouldn't go anywhere near it. It looks gross. Okay. How long have you ever taken a piece of meat and put it out on the counter? What happens to it? You left it out overnight. It smells. It's nasty. Well, imagine it sitting out for 21 days. You wouldn't touch it. But that's because you're only seeing the first step of the process at that point. But yeah, if you age meat, and I mean age it by months, it's like a good cheese. You know where our best cheeses come from? They aged forever and ever and ever, and the outside of it is solid and nasty and gross. But then just like trimming away the fat off a piece of meat, same thing. You trim all that off. And in the middle, on the inside, you're going to have the most tenderest, mouth-watering piece of meat you ever ate in your life.
Yes, sir. That is true.
So
that is absolutely true.
That's what it's about. That's why you always hear it has to be aged. But the aging process does so much beneficial to it. I mean, it allows the meat to relax and stretch. It allows it to become flavoring. It becomes flavored at that time. There's so much involved technically that's involved in all that. I don't know. I couldn't help you with all that stuff. We'd have to get one of the big cattle guys that do that kind of stuff, and Ed down at the farm and all, and and Christy from down on the farm. You have to get them out there, and that's something we can bring up with them one day and see how they do it, because they make their own. They'll take the beef brisket, one of the cheapest pieces of beef you can buy. Okay, don't be afraid to buy cheap beef, folks. Buy the cheaper cuts of anything: lamb, beef, pork. I don't care what it is. It's all in the preparations, what you do with it, and they'll take that beef brisket, and she's able to take that and age it for that year and turn it into the most mouth-watering, delicious corned beef you'll ever have in your life. And that's something that's been hanging in aged for a year. Okay. The key to any kind of cheap product is in the preparation. Tenderize, and above all, slow cook. Braise your product, and all that is boiling it in water first. You're giving it a chance to help absorb the water, to start breaking open, to get sealed in, along with all the other flavors of your vegetables and stuff you threw in that water, in that pot. You braise it. You get that meat all go there, and then you slow cook it. If you're a fan of cheap meats and cheap cuts that I grew up on, we still do today. We're on a very tight budget. The crock pot will be your best friend. All right, you start it the night before or even in that morning. You set it all up and you let it go all day long. When you come home and get ready to sit down for dinner, that cheap piece of, junk meat that nobody wants will taste better than filet mignon if done correctly. Oh, my wife is standing here, hear me talking too. Another thing, make sure it's very specific. We used to go and get once a year on average. We go out and get a whole side of like Delmonico steaks. All right, if anybody's ever bought Delmonico before, you see a good. It's about 3 foot. Good 3 foot in length worth of steaks that you have the butcher cut up, and that's like $100 to $150, $170 for that thing, and you'll get a good. What do we usually get out of that? 20, 25, about 25 steaks out of it. All right, so we used to love it. It was like our treat. That we would treat ourselves once a year. And then we came across that the butcher one day didn't have a rack of Delmonico out there. So he said, I got something just as good for you, and it costs next to nothing. And I was like, what? He goes, trust me. He called it the poor-man's Delmonico. This is right from our butcher, folks, our local family, third-generation butcher. Make sure it's not Chuck Steak, but Chuck I, E-Y-E, Chuck I Steaks. It's like next to nothing in cost. It's, again, one of the cheapest pieces of steak cuts you're ever going to buy. And prepared it the exact same way I prepared the Delmonico, and you could not tell the difference. And that's all we buy from now on. They are a little bit smaller in size, but flavor and tender and everything else, you cannot tell the difference.
And if I may add, there are a lot of butchers out there.
My wife was just telling me, cut you off Jose. My wife was just telling me that the chuck eyes, and you got to ask for them usually.
Oh yeah,
3 steaks in a package for under $6. You said, right? Under average. Now I can eat 2 of them, so it's still $4. You know, my wife, she eats just the one, but you just check around. It's still cheaper than buying the $200 Delmonico or the $200 filet mignon. You know, that type of deal. And you could cut it with a butter knife. She said. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's fine. No, I was going to make the comment that if you have an old stainless steel can or a copper can, you don't want to use plastic, and you definitely don't want to use anything aluminum. I personally don't. Anyways, I have my reasons for it. A friend of mine online made a connection between aluminum, fluoride, and Alzheimer's. So yeah, I'm trying to stay away from aluminum products. Anyways, the point is, when you go to and talk to the butcher, there's certain cuts of beef that they will take the fat off of. Ask them for that. Tell them, hey, sell me that fat, 2 or 3 pounds at a time. And they'll put it all aside, make one big pile, bag it, and normally they'll just give it to you. But if they sell it to you by the pound, sure, whatever. Take that home, melt it, as much of it down as you possibly can. Cut it into the little tiny squares that are about, I'd say an inch long by an inch wide, an inch thick, and just chop that up like that, throw it in the pan and render it. What you get is fat that you can use later on for cooking. That's why I said don't use plastic and don't use aluminum. If you can use stainless steel or actually tin is fine, or copper is fine. Copper is the preferable one because it is it's got I don't remember what it's like. It keeps away disease. There's a thing on copper that you need to read. Anyways, the point is.
Go ahead. Sorry.
My point is that it is. You can have this fat for all year long. You make yourself a whole pound of that or a whole can of that. Let's say it's a 2-pound can of fat. You can use that all for a long time. I don't remember my mom ever going to the store and buying Crisco or any type of fats or lards or anything like that, because we always had good lard at home that we got from the steaks. Of course, we mixed our bacon and hogs and everything else up into it. We had strainers, multiple different type of strainers. My mom was just really great about all that. But that's another money-saving thing.
Another thing you can do with that, I don't know the whole process involved in it, but also why, again, people will either go to the butcher and ask for those type of fats, not only for your cooking purposes, but hardcore canners and preppers and whatnot. They will buy those big fatty, sides of briskets and things like that and cut the fat away, because they'll turn it into soap.
Mm-hmm.
Dead silence. Huh? Yeah. You actually turn it into soap.
Yep.
It starts with a T. I forgot what it is that they're actually taking off the fat, and they're taking, and I'm pretty sure it started with a T. They're taking something out of it as they cook it down or reduce it, whatever they're doing, and they actually turn it into soap. And I was like, wow, that's how they did it back in the day. These are things that we've been utilizing for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of years, folks. Let's go back even thousands of years, the beginning of times here. This is the way we used to do things. We've just forgotten how to do it. and we become lazy and complacent and consumers instead of producers. We become societies of wastefulness. You know, not saying be a hoarder, folks. Please, that's not what I'm talking about. Not talking about the wastefulness of involved in hoarders, okay, that you may see on TV. And I'm also not talking about end world prepper. I gotta prep for the blah blah blah. You don't need to have that kind of mindset to do this. This is simply the way it's always been done, and we've forgotten how to do it. We've forgotten how to utilize nature in the proper manner. The Native Indians are great. I have a little bit of Native Indian in me. It's my proudest side of my heritage. Second to none. And then I'm a mutt after that. Italian, French, German, God only knows what else is in me. Irish, who knows. I had a bunch of kinky relatives. They got off the grabbed anything that was walking, What can I tell you? But I had a little joke there. But the point is, they're still utilizing that technology today. People are still utilizing those old ways of life. And eventually, that much further in our future, and I feel it's going to happen in our lifetime, folks. I'm talking within the next 10, 15 years, if not sooner. You're going to have to learn because you're going to be forced to learn it because it's your only choice you're going to have. You're not going to be able to afford to go out and buy food. You're not going to be able to, do much of anything. It's just really, the corporations, the governments, and all that, they're just about themselves, the powers to be, whoever they may be, the elite, whatever name and title you want to put on those in control who don't want the patents like we were talking about earlier with the better gas mileage and the free electricity and Tesla's technology and all out to the public, all these greedy, money-hungry, evil rulers that are in control of everything. Okay, so fine. They don't want to share that technology. Doesn't mean you can't do something yourself. Doesn't mean you can't grow your own food. Doesn't mean you can't create your own solar panel or wind energy or thermal energy. You got enough property. You can look up how to do it. It's not that hard. Like everything else, though, especially since it's not commonly used technologies, it may be a little bit of an upfront expense, but it's going to more than pay for itself over the years. And that's what it's all about. Don't worry about, we've become so focused on today and let tomorrow take care of itself kind of deal. And that's wrong. And that's, that goes back to the 60s. That attitude started coming up real strong where, I got money in my pocket today. I'm happy. I'm going out and I'm partying and I'm eating and I'm going out to dinners and I'm doing this and I'm doing that and I ain't got to worry about nothing and my rent's paid and, I got my car's running and, and then you get married and you have kids and it's like, okay, well, I didn't save for that rainy day and now I'm on a shoestring budget because I didn't prepare. I got into debt with credit cards, and all of us are in that boat. Finally got out of all that mess, got all that paid off my back. I don't have to worry about that coming out of my budget anymore. I was a family that went from me having my own rig, my own tractor trailer company there that I was working, and bringing in over $100 and some thousand a year with a pure profit out of that of almost $40,000 profit a year, just with me, one employee and one truck. And I owned it, so, that's after maintenance and fuel, and I pay for everything, insurance, it all comes out of my pocket. We went from that to when I got hurt again to my wife for the first time going back to the workplace in a long time because we've always been a one-income family. Parent has to be home. You have kids, somebody needs to be home. Okay? That's proper morals. Learn to live within your means. You can do it. And we had to adjust our budget accordingly. And yes, we don't have a brand new car. I can't go out and, we still go out to eat on a fairly regular basis. We still have all the video games and the computers and the internet and the television. You know, we have all these other things as well. Okay? It's not like we're wanting for anything, but we're able to do it on a budget that was almost literally cut in half. When she first went back to work 6 years ago, she started about $22,000. We're a family of 5 with our own house, okay, 2 cars, both paid off many, many years ago. Our cars are far from new. Bought them used and still have them. And we had to go and return to a tighter budget, lived on $22,000 a year. Now we're bringing in about $26,000 a year. However, it hasn't improved the budget because also over these last couple of years, although her income has gone up slightly, so has everything else because the economy's tanking, so prices of everything else is going up. Well, now the prices are going up quicker than the money's coming in. Now the reality is, okay, I got to keep the roof over my head, and I know that in the near future, if I don't get something growing, if I don't get something put away in my pantry, we're not sure if we're going to be able to put food on the table. And we're not the only ones in that boat, folks. And more people are finding themselves in that position today. Many are becoming homeless because they couldn't learn to live within their means. And that's what it's all about. You know, we all get that big starry-eyed look. Ooh, I'm going to go buy a brand new house. Look, the housing market is great. I can go buy a 22-bedroom mansion. You know, look how cheap it is. And then, you know, it's okay because you're going to turn it around and flip it to make a profit. Or all of a sudden the tax bill comes due at the end of the year and it's like the market crashed and, oh, shit. I got a pot to fucking piss in. Okay? Because we big, which is nothing wrong with, and find ourselves living these extremes. You don't need that new car. You don't need to buy that 32-bedroom house. Okay?
Well, people are greedy, Doc. You know, I mean, seriously, you take a look at, I'd say the last 10 years. People that have graduated school in the last 10 years, they're socialists. A good majority of them are socialists. There's a lot of them that still know about the Republic, and they probably learned about the Republic from their parents, you know, and they know that the Republic still exists or could possibly be out there somewhere in the haze because of their parents or because somebody they knew told them about it. But the whole rest of them, I'd say, you know, probably a good chunk of Chicago, they think that they are owed everything for free, that they are owed that big screen TV, you know, the big flat screen on the wall that takes up the whole wall. They think they're owed that. They think that just because they breathe, they are owed new clothing and new cars and new houses. And this is manipulation and division created by the elitists. And they've turned our children into greedists. A greedist is the exact definition of a liberal and a Democrat and a socialist and a communist. They are greedy. It's not that they're selfish, because if they were selfish, they would only want the things that they already own. To be selfish is to want what you have, to want to keep what you have, to earn your wages or whatever you're getting, and to go out and buy what you want. That's selfish. There's nothing wrong with that. That is not a bad way to live. There's absolutely nothing wrong with being selfish. Being greedy is where people go and they steal, or they think that they are owed something, so they just go out and take it. You know, that's bad. Being greedy is a horrible thing.
Well, it all comes down to, again, looking at the reflection in the mirror. Who cares if they're greedy? Who cares about what they are doing, folks? The bottom is the only person responsible is you. Self-reliability, self-responsibility. Get the knowledge, that you're lacking to help take care of this. I missed a couple. I had missed the one chat room. I apologize for that. Please is in the chat room, and he's been putting information there in for us, and I'm going to share that with you now on some of the things we have hit already this evening. And Please was saying that he agrees with Jose. Aluminum and fluoride are to be avoided. I also stay away from Teflon cookware. Note Teflon is a brand name of PTFE, which stands for polytetra fluoroethylene. Yeah, it's ethylene. Emphasis on the fluoro added. I was also letting them know that, yes, there's actually has been a new law passed that I believe by 2014, all new products, all cookwares and whatnot, must have all Teflon removed. Congress has passed a law on that. It passed a law a few years ago on it. It's only been making its way out to the public for the most part. But the companies have been made aware of this, that they have until maybe the end of this year or whatever. Any new products that come off the line must be Teflon free. He also commented, remember I was talking about that soap, the T word I couldn't remember, was tallow, Tallow. And he put a question mark because he wasn't 100% positive. But when I saw the word, it did trigger the bell, and yeah, that's what it is. Tallow. That's what it's called, that they take from the fats and they turn in and make the soap out of. So thank you very much for that information. That's why it's always great, having Please here. He's so knowledgeable with us a long time, and always you're missing out, folks, if you don't join over there in the freedomreigns.us chat room. A lot of times you do miss out on some great conversations and great information that is taking place, and we try to do our best to share it with you on air, just in case you cannot help us or join us for the live shows and in the chat room. But try to encourage you. Please come over, join us in the chat rooms, either over on freedomreigns.us or right here on Blog Talk Radio. You can only comment, though. Lots of guests we always have popping in and out. You can read the chats as a guest, but you cannot comment unless you're logged in. It's free to create the account, or you can log in using the same login information you use for your Facebook, Google, and many other online accounts. You can use that exact same login information. There's an icon for that. You click on the icon and simply log in just like you would Facebook or anything else. I want to see Sarah has just joined in. Good to see you. We missed you yesterday. Haven't seen you popped in. Coming in on the late hour there, just getting home, I would assume, or having the time to join us. She just popped out. Hopefully she'll be back.
Well, I will say, when you're making homemade soap, okay, there are a few things that you're going to need. Obviously, if you've ever seen the movie Fight Club, there is a way to make soap without having to use lye, but that's a different story. The lye method is quicker and tends to be a lot easier, although it's slightly more dangerous because you use lye and water, and lye and water equals a lot of heat. And if you get a little bit of lye on you, and it just so happens, or lye water on you, oh my God, that's a burn. And it's a chemical burn. It's not just a regular burn. So you've got to use vinegar to dissipate it, or you can use baking soda. Now, basically, homemade hand soap, the way you test the final product is, does it float? Does it float on top of water?
Just
ice?
No, I just out there. Dove, D-O-V-E, the Dove soap. It's the only soap that floats.
Yeah, it's an actual soap. It's a real soap. It's not the other junk.
Yeah.
Anyways, you can make it smell good with coconut oil or whatever you want. I don't recommend putting fragrance into homemade soaps because I think they work better without it. But my mom used to make them. My aunts and grandmother made them, and I was there for both processes, and they they didn't vary. They really didn't. I mean, it was all lye soap, and you can wash your clothes with it. You can wash your car with it. You can wash anything with it. You can do your dishes, whatever.
Please
Now,
just be honest, Jose. I got to apologize, everyone. It was ivory that floats, not the dove. At least that's what he thinks it is. It could be. I mean, I just remember having one of the soaps that either was ivory or dove when we were kids, and we used to carve it into boats because it was the only soap that floated. And we used to make homemade little sailboats and toys and whatnot out of the soap. So, yeah, he thinks it was ivory. Yeah, I think it is too. I think it was ivory, not dove. But it does float. It's a real soap. He also makes comment that oatmeal is used in a lot of the natural soaps.
yeah, yeah. Oatmeal also helps kill a little bit of the burn from the lye. If you make a soap and it's rich in lye, when you go to bathe, sometimes you can feel the heat from the lye, on your skin and stuff, and it can get irritating. It can be very irritating. That's the soap that you might want to use on heavily soiled clothing, such as stuff that's got, automotive grease and automotive oils and that kind of stuff. It's good for removing those things. On the other hand, if you make one that's very mild and, really foams up really good and stuff, yeah, use that one for the kids and the face and stuff like that. But the plus is, this soap, it's so natural that you can actually, if all you do is wash your hands and face with it, you take that water, if you can. Now, from where I come from and the way I do things back home, we use a small pan, and it's about 16 inches wide and it's about 7 inches deep, and that's where we wash our face and hands from, and that water would get used for plants. In one spot of my property, I had in one of my houses, I should say, I've got the line from the sink runs straight out to the garden. It runs to the higher part of the garden because all that water, with food particles and soap and everything, it all goes into the garden, and it actually adds nutrition for all of my little gardening needs out there. I'm not there, and I couldn't do that here anyways because I'm on the side of a hill and it all just run down in the street.
Yeah, it's called white water, I believe is the proper term for that. And yeah, you can do that. We have our own septics and what they call laundry interceptors. If you have a septic tank, put a laundry interceptor in. All that is I put my own in. It cost me less than $100, and I did it myself. It took me all but an afternoon to do. And I buried a 250-gallon IBC, container that already had holes in it. I got from the honeybee farm. When I rode up there, I said, "You got any containers with a hole in it?" And he goes, "Yeah." I said, "Well, give me the biggest one you got." It was actually, I think it was 250 gallons, the damn thing. And I said, "How much you want for it?" He goes, "Give me $20." I said, "Good deal." So I bought it for $20. Came home, had my buddy, which saved labor. He had one of those little backyard backhoe kind of deals, and he dug the hole for me. Dug the hole down. I used my drill with a drill bit, and a small drill bit, not a very large size drill bit, and drilled 1,000 holes in the damn thing. Went down the road and got a load of gravel. Got some gravel from the same guy I get my soil stuff from. Went over there and got a load of gravel from him. He charged me
leach.
Huh?
You're making a leach pit.
Yeah, well, what it is, you put the gravel in. I put the tank in there, and put some more gravel, around it. Filled it over the top with the soap, and I ran the PVC pipe from that to the drain coming off my washing machine and stuff. And that's what they call laundry interceptor. And that water helps feed, slowly bleeds out, feeds my lawn and everything else, and it doesn't go in and put a bigger strain on my septic tank because I'm on septic well. I'm off grid here, except for my electric and internet for the most part. And that's my ultimate goal, is to eventually be 100% off grid. But as long as the internet's around, that's not going to happen because I've figured out how to get off grid without paying somebody for internet.
Well, you could start your own company.
Part of it. I'm not going to accomplish that, but...
Well, no, it's all, I mean, these are all just...
with satellites and stuff, but, electric you can do with satellites, and, with solar and wind, and now I got my garden going for my food. These are just things that you can do, and you do it on smaller scales. You don't have to go anything big and fancy, and you spend a couple of bucks here and there as you have it to improve whatever you're doing. And that's what it's all about. Don't worry about, you don't go out and put it on your damn credit card. Stay away from credit cards. Stay away from debt. You can feed a family of 5 like I do on one income of under, $20,000 a year, making I think we're at 26,000 this year, $26,000 a year. You can do it, and do it with still being able to go out to dinner once in a while, and still being able to buy the new video game and have gifts open for Christmas and things like that. But it's not easy, and you can't do it if you have debt. You have to pay off your debt. The only debt I have is my mortgage. Okay? Right. That's it. I'm not worried about that debt. It's a constant bill out of the top of the budget. Boom. That's it. Other than that, I don't worry about the plastic. You save it for that rainy day. You buy it in pieces. You're going to need this, and this in order to build a solar panel. Well, I got $20 in my pocket today, so I can buy the wood for it to frame it out. I got another $20. The next week, okay, I can buy a panel. I can buy buy it in pieces. If you have to, little by little. Then you don't have it all coming out of your pocket at one time. And then after a few weeks, you sit down in a weekend and you put it together and build the damn thing. Please put in on a related topic. I restrict my use of antiperspirant because it's my understanding that your armpits should be unclogged to enable certain toxins to escape from your body. That's very, very true.
Yes, it is.
What's the first thing we do? We take a shower to get all the dirt and crap off of us. We get out of the shower, we dry off, and what's the first thing you do? You go grab a stick of chemical to put on your body.
And it's mostly wax.
It's garbage. Yeah, it smells pretty. What do you think they make cologne for, okay? Okay, if you got a problem with perspiration, yeah, right, I understand. It's a little embarrassing, so you might want something to help with that. If you do that, do it. Don't do it at night, no matter what. Don't put anything on your body at night. Take a shower, get the junk off you, dry off, get dressed if that's what you do, and then go to bed, when you go to bed. Because it at least gives your sleeping time, that 6 to 8 hours you may be in bed, a chance for your body to breathe, to get, allow it to recuperate. Have you ever seen those papers that they draws out toxins and stuff? You find it in Oriental stores and stuff. You actually put it on the bottom of your foot, and it almost looks like toilet paper, but a little bit thicker, obviously. And it's just sitting around and whatever. You just put it. It's moist, and you put it on the bottom of your foot. And then after whatever they say, 10, 15 minutes, you take it off, and it's black. That ain't from dirt. It's pulling the toxins out of your body. And the more you use it, the paper becomes. Well, it's the same thing with your armpits, folks. Same thing with your head. Okay? You lose the most heat off the top of your head. That's why in wintertime you wear a hat. Keep that heat in. Why it's important to have a clean head? Because your natural oils coming from your head and your hair clogs your pores. It also contributes to acne issues. Now, acne is not going to get it from eating chocolate and all the other crap. It's hereditary, folks. However, oils will cause blackheads and acne. So that is a contributing factor in acne. But for the most part, it's hereditary. It has nothing to do with what you eat. But very important, keep these chemicals off your skin. Everything you put on your skin, especially something that's long-lasting, like an antiperspirant, okay? If you're going to do something like that, use something like Bonds, I think it's called, natural talcum powder kind of stuff, baby powder. You know, if you need to put something on your skin, do that. All right? That is not to be absorbed by your skin as a toxin, and it's not going to your pores to not allow the toxins to get out of your body. With that, we're down to our last 5 seconds here. Thank you all for joining us as always. God bless everyone. Be safe till next week, and we will see you back here Wednesday night. Jose, say good night, brother.
Good night, brother.
Oh, I love you, man. I look forward to always our conversations. I'll talk to you later on in Skype. Everyone, thank you for joining us, and we will talk again. Until next week, good night. Especially if they have kids, because we have young kids, so, you know, kids are the first ones to hook up and meet and bring the parents into the picture. You know, oh, this is so-and-so's, you know, met them at school or wherever they may have met along the way. And, of course, from there, then you go meet the parents. So it's an ongoing thing. It's a lot of fun, but you got to take the effort. Don't be afraid to make that initiative for unity in your household, especially in the summertime or any time when you're not have that big, hard, busy schedule. Because whether we're working or playing and running our kids from one event to another and sports and the calendar just seems to be nonstop. You need to take a break. You know, when you have that downtime, either between sports, between gymnastics or dance or whatever your children may be into, you got to take that downtime and the quiet time. And sadly, usually when we do have the quiet time, quite often we may end up in front of that damn box, whether it's a television, a video games, a computer, some sort of electronic device. That's not communication. That's not solidifying your foundation of your family unit. And you have to have that solid foundation. Once you have that established, everything else falls into place. It just makes life so much easier. And for those who are kind of new to this and don't know how to go about, maybe getting started, I used to tell this story years ago when I first started doing radio, many, many years ago. And believe it or not, it sounds crazy, but if anybody who's known me by now knows that, hey, everything I do sounds a little crazy until you actually try it or you actually study it and read it. Well, this is, again, on that line of, sounds a little crazy. You get up on a day, you're going to be a day off, right? Get up a little bit early where everybody else is still sleeping in. Don't even get changed in outdoor clothes. Stay in your pajamas, whatever. Go and make the coffee, make a nice breakfast. Then when it's all done, they all get up and you wake them up and here we go, come on, let's we're going to have breakfast time. After breakfast, you clean up. Now, of course, at that point, they're going to want to get changed into their daytime clothes. They're going to probably want to go out and play or whatever. So it actually works a lot nicer if it's a rainy day, because then they're kind of trapped to the inside to begin with. But sometime after your breakfast and everything's cleaned up and everybody else is kind of off doing their own thing, which might be the norm, whatever the norm may be for your household. When everybody's caught in their norm, okay, whatever it may be, that's when you want to go off again on your own. Don't say a word to anybody. And if you don't have to use this particular board game, it's one of our favorites in my household, and it's great for young kids because they get to learn, all kinds of great educational stuff just from playing the game as well. But you go and you set up a Monopoly game. And you set it out for the amount of people that are in your household. Now, so if there's 3 of you, you set it up. Welcome all to this evening's broadcast of Community and the Constitution. I hope you had a chance to listen to last night's archives. We had like 58 live listeners last night. We went and took a visit down on the farm. We had a special guest who were teaching us about how to get our soils prepped and seeds going and plants going and all kinds of good stuff. And we had a really great time. Tons of information. I know I took a whole bunch of notes. I'm sure others did the same. Hopefully we're going to have Ed back as a guest again throughout the summer as he has time available to join us here and keep us up to date of how our crop should be doing at this particular time, how we need to start preparing our next step for harvesting and how we want to go about harvesting those seeds and getting into canning. And then come around August, when we'll be ready to start prepping our winter crops for those of us in the South here. So we'll be covering some of those topics as well. They'll be random, but I will try to get some advertisement out in advance to you guys. So that may not always be the case. It may just be like last night, last minute prep time and everything worked out just right to the first day of spring. And we were able to put a show together real quick for you guys on that. Again, it is now the second day of spring. It's here. It's arrived. Hope everybody's been real busy doing their spring cleaning and getting ready for an exciting summer, I hope. Trying to get away from the law side of things this time of year, as we do every year, and focus a little bit more on community, what we're doing in our communities, how we're getting along with our neighbors, what in general are we doing to make our lives easier, to work together, to become a unit, a family unit. Once again, the things that have been lost and stolen from us, and it started in the family, of course, where the unity got divided. And that's what we need to repair. We need to repair those divisions before we can move on to our neighbors. But exciting times ahead, I'm sure, with barbecues and get-togethers. And if you haven't done one in the past, maybe you should consider throwing a block party. They're real easy to do. You don't have to worry about permits or anything. You just let your neighbors know, hey, this weekend, it's a long weekend or whatever the case may be. When you get together and do some barbecuing, you pull the tables down and roll the barbecues down to the end of the driveway. The kids get together and they play ball or do what they're doing. Everybody brings kind of bring your own type deal. Yeah, hot dogs, hamburgers. Somebody else will bring chips and potato salads or whatever the case may be. And everybody just gets to co-mingle, if you will, socialize, get to know a little bit about each other. I'm very fortunate because in my area and my little neighborhood, we do all know each other. We know our kids. We know when somebody new is in the neighborhood. But it's all these different things that you can come up with and create and invent together. But until you can really start growing together as a family unit and have that foundation, that's how you're going to open up the communications. If you have communication and your children are comfortable covering any topic or subject that may come up, and it's how you react to those different topics and subjects that makes all the difference. Okay? We don't tolerate liars in the household. You got a problem, I can tell it's on your face, and I'll ask you what the problem is. You can tell me. I don't care what it is, but as long as I hear it from you, if you did something wrong or whatever the case may be, it's going to be handled in a different manner than if I found out from somebody else. Because if that's the case, then look out. So I got teenagers. It also goes into when they get, as they even get older. It starts from young age all the way on through into their adult lifehood. You're teaching them valuable moral lessons. But if you don't have that communications open, you don't have that solid foundation, one of these days your kids are going to be old enough, and they're going to be out with their friends, and somebody's going to end up drinking. Or your own child may end up drinking. And my kids are taught from the start, don't drink and drive. Call for a ride. Stay where you're at. I ain't going to ask you any questions. If you're not comfortable calling me, or depending on where you're at, if you're closer to somebody else, call another family member. But do not get behind the wheel, and do not get into a car with somebody else who's been drinking. But if you don't have that communication line open, what are they going to do? They're going to be more influenced with the peer pressure than they are of their own lessons that they have been taught and learned. They learn by example. We don't drink, so we don't have that problem there. If I have a beer, you can't say we don't drink at all. I mean, I have about a 12-pack of beer a year, so equivalent of one beer a month. As far as myself goes, my wife, she will, when we have guests and company over that come visit us. We're down in Florida, and we have a lot of relatives up in New Jersey. Her mom and them enjoy a glass of wine. So when they come down to run vacation and spend time with us, my wife will sit around, and her and her mother, and they'll sit around and they'll have a glass of wine or two. But other than that, there's no alcohol in the house. There's no drinking. We just don't drink. So we don't have that influence, that particular habit that the kids are going to pick up from us. But they also have been spoken to about it. If you're going to go out, you're going to go out and drink. There's nothing I can do to stop you. I don't care what the legal age is. Hell, I grew up on, I come from an Italian background, Italian family there. We grew up 5 years old. You had a little glass of Iago Sangria with dinner at 5. This is why drinking was never a big deal to me, because I grew up with it. You wanted it, it was there. You didn't want it, you don't take it. It was never denied us, so we never had that excitement of, hey, it's my 18th birthday. Well, back then it was 18. Now it's 21. Hey, it's my 21st birthday. I got to go out clubbing and get drunk off my ass. And then I'm going to climb into a car with 4 or 5 other drunken for 3 players. Or you, so on and so forth. And you don't say a word to anybody. You all of a sudden just start having your own party. All right? You roll the dice. You move the guy around, right? Oh, I'll buy that. Boom, boom, boom. You pay the bank. You get things. Now you get up and get into the next chair, and you throw the dice for that player, and you move that player along, and you have a party of one. Okay, I've never seen it fail yet. That by the time I get around, all 4 chairs or all 5 chairs or whatever the case may be, that I've not already had one after another filling up. Because the kids will be, well, what are you doing? Because you're in there making all this racket, having this good time. And they'll walk by us, what the hell are you doing? I'm playing a board game. You guys are all busy playing your computer stuff or, video games or whatever. I felt like playing a board game. And they're like, well, hell, I want to play. Well, come on, grab a chair. And there's one kid, boom, sure enough. The other one will come wandering around a few minutes later, wondering where everybody else is at, because they just realized, okay, where is everybody? Because they're not around. And they finally pick their head up out from in front of that electronic device for a minute, and they'll wander off to the house, or maybe after they'll get up to get a drink or whatever. But at one point, they're going to pass by and hear the commotion that's going on, and they'll be like, what are you guys doing? Why come you didn't invite me to play? Well, you were playing your video game. You want to play? Grab a seat. It doesn't take long, folks. It sounds crazy because you're up there in the beginning by yourself. And don't say anything to them. Don't make it seem like, it's a reverse psychology thing. If you go out and ask them, hey, everybody, I'm playing a board game. Who wants to come play? They're going to be like, I don't want to do that. Who wants to play this or who wants to do that? I'd rather just play my video game. So don't even put yourself in that position. Just set it up and start playing. And one by one, because now it'll be their thought and idea to come and play and join you. And then you guys just spend the rest of the day as a family playing board games, even if it's not Monopoly, whatever, maybe another board game, whatever your family has and enjoys doing. And you can end up spending the rest of the day sitting around as a family, playing games, interacting together. And then if you have it in your budget, of course, instead of worrying about cooking dinner or preparing dinner and that you order a pizza. And it can become a regular habit. We often have at least twice a month, if not more, we have game day in my house. And that's what we do. And there's also times where over the weekend, which usually does turn into, and it kind of goes together with game day, is my little one came up with this opposite day. Opposite day is just what it sounds like. Everything you would normally do, you do the opposite. So in the morning, instead of getting up and getting dressed, you stay in your pajamas all day long. Instead of sitting down to have breakfast, you have dinner. Okay? It's just a fun little thing that she likes to come up with every once in a while. And we sit around and we play board games all that day. Or do puzzles. Or, we all interact together doing something. It's just another, game. It depends on the age of your children, obviously. Friends. Go up the road and kill somebody or possibly myself. But it all begins at home with a solid foundation. If you have your children with a solid foundation and you trust them as they trust you, that will follow in every aspect of their life. They will more quickly come to you with a problem than their friends, and that is the ultimate. Instead of go talking to your friends about it, who may give you, poor advice or one-sided advice, come and talk to me. Come and talk to your mother. You're not comfortable about a particular topic, go talk to your aunts and your uncles and your cousins. But bring it home. We're here. We're going to love you unconditionally. We may not love everything you do and the choices you make throughout your life, but you're a part of us. You're part of our family. And we take care of our own. We may not like everything you do, but we're going to support you in every decision that you make, provided that choice and that decision is a well thought out and informed choice. With that, good evening, Jose. Good evening, Jesse. Thank you for joining us this evening. How y'all doing?
Good evening, Doc. I'm fine. How are you, sir?
Hey, Doc.
Hey.
I'm doing all right. I wanted to say spring in Florida, good deal. Up here in West Virginia, where I'm at, only about 40 miles from Kentucky, we got snow. We got a whole inch of snow. It started off okay. I mean, the day, last night, there was no clouds. Today, it's freezing out there.
We had snow today, too. If that makes you feel better.
Oh,
yeah.
Good. Yeah, now that makes me feel better.
I was a little cold today. How's that? Any help there? No.
No, just
probably about 70 today on average. We hit the 80s or mid 80s today.
Well, I was wanting to get onto that planting thing. I know the wife likes to have a garden outside and stuff like that, and I'm not going to do it by myself this year. This year, I think I'm going to invite her to help.
There you go.
I don't know. It's just one of those things. I know she likes doing it, so let's see. Let's see what she knows. This would probably be our third or fourth attempt at her having something green outside growing. She's good at the roses thing, but I frankly like the the little garden idea a heck of a lot better. But then that comes with my background and where I'm from and how I grew up. So, yeah, I kind of enjoyed the show last night. I enjoyed listening more than anything. I know I didn't really participate in the show, and that's okay. I threw up a couple of ideas for you guys, and I'm glad you guys went on